The Rolls-Royce Phantom glided to a stop in front of the wedding venue. 300 guests turned their heads. Whispers rippled through the crowd like wildfire. The groom's face went pale as death. The driver stepped out and opened the rear door. A woman emerged, stunning, regal, draped in a custom designer gown that probably cost more than the entire wedding. Diamonds sparkled at her neck. Her natural black hair was styled like a crown. She looked like royalty. But it wasn't the woman that made Marcus Thompson's knees buckle. It was the two children who stepped out behind her. A boy in a tailored suit, a girl in a beautiful dress. Both around 5 years old. Both with the same eyes, the same nose, the same face. His face. The bride grabbed Marcus's arm. Who is that? Marcus. Why do those children look exactly like you? Marcus couldn't speak. His mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. His perfect wedding, his perfect new life, his perfect lies, all crumbling in real time. The woman walked toward the altar, not rushing, not hesitating, each step measured and confident. The twins held her hands, looking around at the fancy venue with wide, curious eyes. She stopped directly in front of Marcus. A small smile played on her lips, the same lips he used to kiss. The same lips he abandoned 5 years ago. Hello, Marcus. Thank you for the invitation. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. To understand this moment, we need to go back 6 years. Back to a tiny apartment on the wrong side of town. Back to when Marcus Thompson had nothing but dreams and a woman who believed in him more than he believed in himself. Grace Williams met Marcus Thompson at a diner where she worked double shifts. He came in every night to study, nursing a single cup of coffee for hours because that's all he could afford. She started slipping him free pie. He started making her laugh. Within a year, they were married. A courthouse wedding. No guests. No fancy dress. Just two people in love, promising forever. Marcus was in his second year of law school. Brilliant, but broke. His scholarships covered tuition, but nothing else. No money for books. No money for rent. No money for food. Grace covered it all. She worked as a waitress at 2 different restaurants. Morning shift at a breakfast spot. Evening shift at an upscale bistro. Sometimes she picked up catering gigs on weekends. She came home every night with aching feet and tired eyes. But she never complained. Not once. You're going to be a great lawyer someday, she told him every night. And all of this will be worth it. She emptied her tips into a jar on their kitchen counter. The jar had a label on it written in her handwriting, Marcus's dream. When he needed new textbooks, she dipped into the jar. When his laptop broke, she dipped into the jar. When he needed a suit for interviews, she worked an extra double shift and dipped into the jar. Marcus promised her the world. When I make it, baby, I'm going to give you everything. A big house, nice cars, vacations wherever you want. You'll never work another day in your life. Grace would smile and kiss him softly. I don't need all that. I just need you. She meant it. Every word. But Marcus didn't. The turning point came when Marcus passed the bar exam. Grace threw him a surprise celebration dinner. She spent her entire week's tips on a nice restaurant. She wore the one good dress she owned. Her eyes sparkled with pride. Over dessert, she took his hands in hers. Her heart was pounding. Marcus, I have something to tell you. He smiled. What is it, baby? I'm pregnant. The smile froze on his face. Then it slowly disappeared, replaced by something cold, something distant. Pregnant? Yes, can you believe it? We're going to be parents. Marcus pulled his hands away. Are you sure? How far along? About 2 months. I went to the doctor yesterday while you were at your interview. She was still smiling, not seeing the storm clouds gathering in his eyes. Marcus, we're going to have a baby. He didn't hug her. He didn't kiss her. He didn't cry happy tears. He just sat there, silent, calculating. Marcus, aren't you happy? I need some time to process this. That night, everything changed. Marcus became distant, cold. He started coming home late, claiming he was networking for his new job at the prestigious law firm that had just hired him. He stopped touching Grace, stopped looking at her, stopped being present even when he was in the room. Grace tried everything. She cooked his favorite meals. She gave him space. She planned romantic evenings. Nothing worked. 3 weeks later, Marcus came home with a look in his eyes that Grace would never forget. A look of finality. A look of cruelty. "Grace, we need to talk." She knew. Before he even spoke, she knew. I want a divorce." The words hit her like a physical blow. "What? Marcus, why? Is it the baby? We can figure this out. We can—" "The baby isn't mine." Silence. Absolute devastating silence. "What did you just say?" "You heard me. I've been doing the math. The timing doesn't add up. That baby isn't mine, and I'm not going to raise another man's child." "Marcus, that's insane. I've never been with anyone else, ever. You know that. This baby is yours. Our baby." He shook his head coldly. "I'm not going to argue about this. I've already filed the papers. Sign them and make this easy on both of us." "Make this easy?" Grace was crying now. "We've been together for 4 years. I put you through law school. I worked 3 jobs so you could study. I gave up everything for you. And now you're leaving me because I'm pregnant with your child?" Marcus's face hardened. "You're holding me back, Grace. You don't fit my life anymore. The firm I work for, the clients I meet, the circles I'm entering, you don't belong in any of it. I need a fresh start." "A fresh start? I'm your wife." "Not for long." He placed the divorce papers on the table. Then he picked up a suitcase she hadn't noticed by the door. "Sign the papers. The apartment lease is up next month. I suggest you figure out your next steps." And just like that, Marcus Thompson walked out of Grace's life. She never saw him again. Grace spent the next 3 days in shock. She barely ate, barely slept. She sat on the floor of that tiny apartment, holding her stomach, crying until she had no tears left. On the 4th day, she went to the doctor for her follow-up appointment. That's when she got the news. "Mrs. Thompson, I need to tell you something. Your initial ultrasound showed 1 heartbeat, but today's scan shows something different." Grace's heart stopped. "Is something wrong with my baby?" The doctor smiled gently. "Your babies are perfectly healthy. Both of them." "Both of them? You're having twins, Mrs. Thompson. Congratulations." Twins. Grace left the doctor's office in a daze. She had no husband, no money, no job she could work in her condition, and 2 babies on the way. She tried to contact Marcus. She called his phone 57 times. Every call went to voicemail, then eventually to a disconnected message. She sent 22 emails. All bounced back. Blocked. She went to his law firm. Security escorted her out. She was told that Mr. Thompson had no interest in speaking with her, and that any further attempts would be considered harassment. He had erased her from his life completely. With nowhere else to turn, Grace moved in with her mother, Dorothy, a retired nurse living on a fixed income in a small house on the outskirts of the city. Dorothy held her daughter tight. "We'll figure this out, baby. We always do." 5 months later, Grace gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl, Marcus Jr. and Michelle. She named the boy after his father. Even after everything, she wanted her children to have a connection to where they came from. She gave birth alone. No husband, no partner, just her mother holding her hand. Those first 2 years were brutal. 2 babies crying through the night. Diapers, formula, doctor visits. Grace was running on fumes. She couldn't work a normal job because daycare for twins would cost more than she could earn. So she got creative. Grace had always been good with computers. In high school, she taught herself to code. In college, before she dropped out to work and support Marcus, she had studied business and web development. She started building websites for local businesses, working from her mother's kitchen table while the babies slept. $5 here, $20 there, whatever she could get. Slowly, the work grew. She built a website for a local bakery. The bakery owner recommended her to a friend. The friend recommended her to another friend. Within a year, Grace had more clients than she could handle. She hired 2 other stay-at-home moms to help. They worked remotely. She paid them fairly. The company grew. Then Grace had an idea. She noticed that small business owners struggled with managing their operations. Scheduling, inventory, customer management. There was no affordable solution for them, so she built one. She coded an app in 6 months, a simple platform that helped small businesses run more efficiently. She launched it for free with a premium subscription option. Within 3 months, 10,000 businesses were using it. Within a year, 500,000. Investors came calling. Grace negotiated carefully, maintaining majority control. By the time the twins turned 4, TechBridge Solutions was valued at over $200 million. By the time they turned 5, that number had grown to $500 million. Grace never flaunted her wealth. She moved her mother into a nicer house, but nothing extravagant. She put money away for her children's future. She donated to charities that helped single mothers. She lived quietly, privately, focused on raising her children, and she never stopped thinking about the man who abandoned her. Not with anger, not with bitterness, just with a quiet sadness for what could have been. Then one day, an envelope arrived at her mother's old address. Dorothy brought it over, looking confused. "This came for you, baby, from someone named Marcus Thompson." Grace's heart clenched. She opened the envelope. Inside was a wedding invitation. Elegant, expensive, dripping with pretension. And there was a handwritten note tucked inside. "Grace, I hope this finds you well. I wanted you to see how far I've come. I'm marrying Vanessa Kensington. Yes, those Kensingtons. Maybe seeing my success will inspire you to try harder in life. Best of luck to you." Dorothy read the note over Grace's shoulder, her face twisted with fury. The audacity of this man. After what he did to you, he has the nerve to mock you? Baby, throw this in the trash where it belongs. Grace sat quietly for a long moment. She looked at the invitation. Then she looked at her 2 children playing in the next room, 5 years old, looking more like their father every day. "Mama, I think it's time." Time for what? Time for Marcus to meet his children, and time for him to see exactly who he left behind. Dorothy stared at her daughter. Then a slow smile spread across her face. "Well then, let's make sure you look like the queen you are." Now, if you're feeling something right now, hit that subscribe button, because what happens next at this wedding is going to leave you speechless. Marcus has no idea what's coming. Stay with me. Marcus Thompson had spent 5 years carefully constructing a new identity. He told everyone he came from a wealthy family. He said his parents owned property and investments. He dropped hints about trust funds and summer homes. None of it was true. But in the world he now inhabited, image was everything. And Marcus had become a master of illusion. He met Vanessa Kensington at a charity gala. She was the daughter of Charles Kensington, a real estate mogul worth several $billion. She was beautiful, proper, connected, and she was Marcus's ticket to everything he ever wanted. He pursued her aggressively. Romantic dinners, lavish gifts, all carefully calculated to win her heart. Within a year, he proposed with a ring he couldn't afford, secretly maxing out credit cards he planned to pay off once he had access to her family's wealth. Vanessa said yes. Her father approved. The wedding was planned. 300 guests, a venue that cost more than most people's houses. Press coverage, society pages. Marcus was finally becoming someone. On the morning of the wedding, he stood in front of the mirror, adjusting his tie. He thought about Grace briefly. He imagined her reaction to the invitation. She was probably crying, probably bitter, probably regretting ever letting him go. He smiled at his reflection. "Look at you now," he whispered. "Look at what you've become." The ceremony was scheduled for 3 in the afternoon. Guests arrived in expensive cars, designer outfits everywhere, old money mingling with new. Marcus greeted everyone like he was born to this world. Handshakes, air kisses, practiced laughter. Vanessa looked stunning in a custom designer gown. Her sister Tiffany stood as maid of honor. Though she had never fully trusted Marcus, something about him seemed off, calculated. But she kept her suspicions to herself. At 2:45, guests were seated. The string quartet began playing. Everything was perfect. Marcus stood at the altar, scanning the crowd. Part of him was looking for Grace. He wanted to see her sitting in the back somewhere. Alone. Poor. Broken. That would be the ultimate triumph. But she wasn't there. He felt a flicker of disappointment. Maybe she was too ashamed to show up. The ceremony began. The officiant welcomed everyone. Scripture was read. Marcus and Vanessa held hands at the altar. Then the venue doors opened. Everyone turned, expecting a late guest. What they saw instead made the entire room gasp. A Rolls-Royce Phantom had pulled up to the entrance. Sleek, black, gleaming in the afternoon sun. Behind it, a second vehicle, a luxury SUV. The driver stepped out and opened the rear door of the Rolls-Royce. A woman emerged. Grace. But not the Grace that Marcus remembered. Not the tired waitress with worn hands and exhausted eyes. Not the pregnant woman he abandoned in a tiny apartment. This woman looked like she owned the world. A custom designer gown that hugged her figure perfectly. Diamonds at her ears and neck that caught the light with every movement. Her natural black hair was styled elegantly, cascading over her shoulders like silk. Her makeup was flawless. Her posture was regal. She looked wealthier than anyone at this wedding. Marcus's legs nearly gave out. Then the rear door of the SUV opened, and two children stepped out. A boy in a tailored designer suit. A girl in a beautiful dress. Both around 5 years old. Both with curly black hair and warm brown skin. Both with Marcus's face. The crowd erupted in whispers. Phones came out. People pointed. Vanessa gripped Marcus's arm. "Who is that?" "Marcus, why do those children look exactly like you?" He couldn't answer. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't think. Grace walked toward the altar. Slow. Confident. The twins walked beside her, holding her hands. Behind her came a distinguished-looking man in an expensive suit. Her attorney, Jerome Washington. She stopped directly in front of Marcus. Her eyes met his. Calm, steady. Not an ounce of malice. Just quiet, dignified truth. "Hello, Marcus. Thank you for the invitation." Vanessa stepped forward. "Excuse me, who are you? This is our wedding." Grace turned to her with a polite smile. "I'm Grace Thompson, his ex-wife. He left me 5 years ago when I was pregnant." The crowd gasped. Vanessa's face went pale. "Ex-wife? Pregnant?" "He told me he was never married before." "Did he?" Grace looked at Marcus with something like pity. "What else did he tell you?" Marcus finally found his voice. "Grace, what are you doing here? Why are you doing this? You invited me, Marcus. Did you forget? You wanted me to see how far you've come." She gestured at the venue, the guests, the decorations. "I have to say it's quite impressive. But then again, you always were good at putting on a show." Vanessa was shaking now. "Marcus, is this true? Were you married before?" It was a long time ago. It wasn't important." "Wasn't important?" Grace raised an eyebrow. "Our marriage wasn't important. Our children aren't important." She turned to the twins. "Marcus Jr., Michelle, this is your father, the one I told you about." Little Michelle looked up at Marcus with innocent eyes. "You're our daddy? Mommy shows us your picture sometimes. She said you had to go away before we were born." Marcus's heart shattered. Not from love, from fear, from exposure, from watching his carefully constructed lies fall apart in front of everyone who mattered. "I didn't know," he stammered. "I didn't know about the children." Jerome Washington stepped forward. "That's interesting, Mr. Thompson, because my client made 57 phone calls to your personal number, all blocked. She sent 22 emails, all bounced back. She visited your law firm. She was escorted out by security." Jerome pulled documents from his briefcase. "And here is your original divorce filing, where you stated, and I quote, 'Any child she claims to carry is not mine, and I deny all responsibility.' You knew she was pregnant. You just didn't care." The crowd murmured louder. Phones were definitely recording now. Charles Kensington, Vanessa's father, pushed through the crowd, but he wasn't looking at Marcus. He was looking at Grace. "Wait a moment. Grace Thompson? The Grace Thompson, founder of TechBridge Solutions?" Grace smiled politely. "Hello, Mr. Kensington. It's nice to finally meet you in person. I believe your company has been using our platform for the past 2 years." Charles's eyes went wide. "Using it? Your platform revolutionized our property management systems. I've been trying to get a meeting with you for months. You're nearly impossible to reach." Vanessa looked between her father and Grace. "Daddy, you know her?" "Know her? Charles laughed in disbelief. Sweetheart, this woman's company is valued at over $500 million. She's been on the cover of Forbes. She's one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the country. The color drained from Marcus's face. $500 million. The woman he called worthless. The woman he said was holding him back. The woman he left with nothing. She was worth more than everyone at this wedding combined. Vanessa's sister Tiffany started laughing. Not politely, full, genuine, disbelieving laughter. Oh, this is too perfect. Let me make sure I understand. You left your pregnant wife who became a billionaire so you could marry my sister while pretending you came from money? Marcus had no words. Vanessa slowly removed her engagement ring. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes were filled with tears. Everything you told me was a lie. Your family, your background, your past. All lies. Vanessa, please, let me explain. Explain what? That you abandoned your pregnant wife? That you have 2 children you never mentioned? That you're not who you said you were? She threw the ring at his chest. It bounced off and clattered to the floor. This wedding is over. The crowd erupted. Some people booed. Others applauded. Camera flashes went off everywhere. Marcus tried to grab Vanessa's arm. Please, we can talk about this. We can work through this. Vanessa pulled away like his touch burned her. Don't ever contact me again. She walked out with her family. Her father, her sister, her bridesmaids. They all left Marcus standing alone at the altar. The guests began to leave too. Nobody stayed to console him. Nobody defended him. He was alone with his shame. Grace watched it all with no satisfaction on her face. No triumph, just quiet resolution. She knelt down to her children's level. I know this is confusing, babies, but sometimes adults make mistakes. Big mistakes. Marcus Jr. looked at his father. Is he going to come home with us? Grace shook her head gently. That's not up to me, sweetheart. That's up to him. She stood and faced Marcus one final time. I didn't come here for revenge, Marcus. I came because you invited me, and because our children deserve to know that their father exists. What happens next is your choice. She turned to leave. Grace, wait. His voice was broken, desperate. If I had known about the twins, if I had known about your success, if you had known, what? Grace looked at him with sad eyes. You would have stayed because of the children? Because of the money? She shook her head slowly. I didn't want you to stay for money, Marcus. I didn't want you to stay for children. I wanted you to stay for me. Because you loved me. Because our vows meant something, but they didn't. I was just a stepping stone to you. A means to an end. She picked up Michelle and took Marcus Jr.'s hand. The difference between us, Marcus, is that I was always enough. I just needed someone who could see it. She walked toward the door. Her attorney followed. Her children looked back at their father one last time. Then they were gone. Marcus stood alone in the empty venue. The flowers still bloomed. The candles still flickered. The string quartet had stopped playing long ago. He had lost everything. His new wife, his wealthy in-laws, his fabricated reputation, his carefully constructed life, all gone. And somewhere across town, a woman who had risen from nothing was putting her children to bed, reading them stories, kissing their foreheads, living the life he threw away. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to hit that like button and leave a comment below telling me what you would have done in Grace's position. Would you have even gone to that wedding? I read every single comment and I'd love to hear your thoughts. 6 months later, Marcus Thompson was a different man. The scandal had destroyed his reputation. The law firm let him go. Vanessa's family made sure he was blacklisted from every prestigious firm in the city. He was back to where he started, broke, alone, forgotten. But this time, something was different inside him. Something had cracked open at that wedding. The look in his children's eyes. The dignity in Grace's voice. The emptiness of everything he had chased. He started therapy. Real therapy. Not to rebuild his image, but to understand how he had become someone capable of such cruelty. It took months. Hard months. painful months. But eventually, he reached out to Grace. Not with demands, not with excuses, just with a simple letter. I know I don't deserve anything from you. I know I can never undo what I did. But if you would ever consider letting me meet our children properly, I would be grateful. I'm not asking to be their father. I'm just asking for a chance to know them. Grace read the letter 3 times. She talked to her mother. She prayed about it. She thought about her children and what would be best for them. Then she said, yes. The first meeting was awkward. Marcus showed up to a park where Grace and the children were waiting. The twins hid behind their mother's legs, peeking at the stranger who looked like them. Marcus knelt down to their level. His eyes were wet. Hi, I know you don't know me, but I'm your father, and I'm so sorry I wasn't there for you. I made a lot of mistakes, but I'm going to try to be better, if you'll let me. Little Michelle stepped forward first. She had always been the brave one. Mommy said you went away because you were confused. Are you still confused? Marcus almost laughed through his tears. I was very confused, sweetheart, but I'm not anymore. I know exactly what's important now. What's important? You, your brother, being a good person. That's what matters. Michelle studied him for a long moment. Then she hugged him. It was the first time Marcus Thompson had felt anything real in years. Over the following months, he became a regular presence in his children's lives, not as a father who had rights, but as a father who was earning them. Slowly, carefully. Grace never stopped him. She never used the children as weapons. She allowed the relationship to develop naturally, always putting the twins' well-being first. She never took Marcus back. That door was closed forever, but she allowed him to be a father, because in the end, that wasn't about him. It was about her children. 2 years later, Grace stood on a stage accepting an award for entrepreneurship. Her company had grown even larger. Her impact had spread even wider. Her children sat in the front row, her mother beside them. And in the back of the room, Marcus watched quietly, proud of the woman he had once discarded. Grace looked out at the crowd and smiled. People ask me how I built this company from nothing. They want to know the secret to my success. And the truth is, there is no secret. There's just survival. There's just getting up every day when the world tells you to stay down. There's just believing in yourself when no one else does. She looked at her children. I was abandoned when I was pregnant. I had nothing. Less than nothing. I could have given up. I almost did, many times. But I had 2 little heartbeats counting on me. 2 little lives that needed me to be strong. So I was. Her voice grew thick with emotion. If you're going through something hard right now, let me tell you something. You are stronger than you know. You are more capable than anyone has ever told you. And the people who walk away from you are not your destiny. They're just a detour. She held up her award. This isn't revenge. This is rising. This is becoming who you were always meant to be. And no one can take that from you. No one. The crowd rose to their feet. Applause thundered through the room. Grace looked at her mother, at her children, at the life she had built from ashes, and she smiled. Because the best revenge isn't showing off. It's not gloating. It's not destroying the people who hurt you. The best revenge is living well. The best revenge is rising above. The best revenge is becoming someone even you didn't know you could be. Grace Thompson knew that truth in her bones. And every single day, she lived it. Thanks for staying until the end of this story. If it moved you, please subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss another story. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message today. And remember, the people who leave you are not your ending. They're just your beginning. Until next time, take care of yourselves. And more importantly, take care of each other.